What is your favorite Chuck story from on set?
Oh my goodness. I think, see, the great thing about Chuck is that he's never been afraid to laugh at himself. You know, on that show, we give it to each other. We all take it. It's no place to be if you have a thin skin. But way back in the day, we just had an idea one night, and this is when Magic was working with us for a time. So it's me and Magic and Kenny and Chuck doing the show. And somebody in the production meeting had the idea, you know what we should do is that at halftime tonight, and this is something we did not rehearse, it's just something we kind of came up with and said, well, let's see if it works when we do it on the air, which is the best way to do it. Because nobody wants a show that's, well, they must have rehearsed that 700 times and then it doesn't come off as natural. But somebody had the idea, we should turn the studio into the Champions Club. So you have to have a championship ring to get in. And and Kenny will be in on it. Magic will be in on it. Chuck will be the only one who's not. Well, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to do a live halftime show and have Chuck, you know, in the dark on this thing? So we said, well, Kenny will lead Charles to the studio a different way than they normally go. And just say that, hey, we've got to record something at some point, and they need us on our phones when we're walking in. And so that area outside Studio J had a red carpet and had the velvet ropes and had 2 real security guards stationed outside the studio. And so halftime starts, and I'm standing there with Magic, and I'm saying, hey, the studio's been transformed into the Champions Club. You got to have a ring to get in. I'm with Magic. Magic looks at the security guard, says, this guy's with me. He gets in. And so we walk into the studio. Meantime, Kenny and Charles come walking down the hallway, and they're on their phones, like they're on their phones. Charles has no idea what's going on. They get to the velvet ropes. Security stops Chuck. And Kenny says, Kenny Smith, Houston Rockets, 94, 95. And Chuck looks up, and here's a sign outside. It says Champions Club. And he just says, so y'all are playing a trick on the Chucks. And he laughed as much as anybody in the building did. And the thing that happens, what the crew's so good at doing, they got all the lights dimmed in the studio. They've got strobe lights going on. They got this techno beat pumping through the thing. And we had made a list of guys that Charles would resent having championship rings. So we just we're standing in this darkened studio. We've got this list. And every now and then, as Chuck stood outside, we would open the door and smoke would come out and the music's pounding on. And we would just take a name off the list. And I'd say, Charles, Mike Penberthy's asking about you here. and then here comes Kenny saying, hey, Jean Tabak wants to have a word with you, Chuck. Please come in. And then Magic said, hey, Jack Haley's in here and says, you can't come in. It was one of the greatest halftimes we had because it was just, here's an idea. Now let's see if we can pull it off live. And it was just perfect.